As a child, I thought life was a given. As a young teenager, I just knew there'd always be a tomorrow. At the age of 13, I received one phone call that made my fairy tale an unfortunate reality. I remember waking up at 5:30 the morning after Christmas to the phone ringing. It was my grandmother. She was crying profusely, stating that she was heading to the hospital. It is this moment that continuously reminds me to never take life for granted, because you never know when you will have your last tomorrow. On Christmas Day of 2008, I sat by my best friend's side, just waiting for him to wake up so I could tell him of all the things Santa had brought me. I continuously tried to wake him up. I did everything from shaking his arms to screaming his name. When I realized that he was more than just sleeping and he was sedated due to his medication, I decided I would go home. Besides, I had never been one to be patient. It was a Thursday afternoon, 2 weeks after Christmas. I was home from school and my mom had brought home food from Zesto's. Once we all began our meals, my dad received a phone call. My parents then drove us to the hospital. All I could think about was why my parents kept looking back and forth at each other, and just why they were driving so fast. All they had told me was we were going to see my best friend. We were getting off the hospital exit when my dad's phone rang. I remember hearing someone saying, "You need to hurry up." At that point, I knew something was wrong, and I began to worry. My best friend was the kind of man that never wanted anyone to see him in pain or in bad health. He always told me that a weak man was a strong man with just a little bug. After parking halfway across the parking lot, I began to think, what if my best friend didn't just have a bug? The realization of this all didn't hit me until the elevator doors began to slowly open on his floor. I sprinted down the hall, all to get that one last hug. The world just seemed still for a minute or two, and my face was overcome by the Pacific Ocean, and I knew that would be the last heartbeat I would ever feel of my best friend. I never thought I would see him in such bad condition. Not a finger twitched, nor his lip quivered. The room was cold, and as bright as the sun. There were at least 15 others standing by his side. I couldn't stand the thought of never getting to tell him my last goodbyes. I quickly ran out the room in disbelief. I fell to the ground and continued to cry when I realized that I was lucky enough to have one of the most heavenly angels watching over me. 5 years later, my deceased grandfather remains my hero and my best friend. We did everything together. My grandfather and I did everything from hunting and fishing to watching television and playing Lincoln Logs. It wasn't until January 10th of 2008 that my life came to a standstill, and I quickly realized life is only temporary. It was my senior year in high school, and I was 3 weeks away from taking my South Carolina Board of Cosmetology exam. I was spending at least 4 to 5 hours a day on studying. I just wanted to give up, but in my heart, I knew I couldn't let my grandfather down. I thought about how he would have told me to just keep trying, and so I did. They say you never know who your best friend is until they're gone. It didn't take his death for me to realize who my true best friend was. When I asked someone just how they would describe a best friend, they replied, "A best friend is someone who is there for you when you need them." To me, my best friend is more than that. My grandfather was always there to encourage me and always there to love me, even when I didn't need it. I know that no matter where I go in life, he will always be in my heart. As a child, he told me to never give up and no dream was too big. It's an honor to have someone leave me with such a positive outlook on life.